Many thanks to my supporters on Patreon. If you'd like to join them, check the link in the description. But now, enjoy the video. As someone whose entire channel is built on making videos mostly about Gran Turismo, naturally I've spent a lot of time thinking about which types of videos on these games would get the most attention. Yes, I'm a classic sellout YouTuber, I admit it. But the truth is that any content creator who takes this job seriously is in the same boat. So let me ask you a question. What do you think is the most viewed Gran Turismo video of all time? Now to clarify, when I say Gran Turismo video, I mean a video about the Gran Turismo games. This doesn't include music from the games, videos that are tangential to the games, like real-life Vision GT cars, or anything to do with the 2023 movie. I'm sure for many of you, your first thought is that it must be the most viewed video of the most popular Gran Turismo content creator. Steve Alvarez Brown, aka Super GT, is the man who holds that title with close to 1 million subscribers and almost 300 million total views across his channel. Now, I won't lie, I'm very proud of the fact that one of my videos has achieved 1 million views, but as of writing, Super GT has 17 of them. And his most popular one on Gran Turismo was from January 2020, covering his trip to Monaco for the 2019 FIA GT Championships. He was invited there to take part in an exhibition race where he was punted off by some guy. Louis Hamilton, or something like that. Anyway, that video currently sits at over 4 million views, just fractionally above his next highest, in which he completed a 200-lap race at the Nürburgring Nordschleife on GT Sports. Anything for content, as they say. But there have actually been 2 videos on Gran Turismo uploaded since then that have managed to surpass him. So, what could these 2 videos possibly contain to dethrone the Gran Turismo content king himself? Well, in both cases, they're just basic gameplay footage of Gran Turismo 7. Yeah, it's stuff like this that makes me wonder if YouTube is really just one big elaborate joke that Google likes to play on everyone. But even still, these 2 videos pale in terms of views compared to the actual most viewed Gran Turismo video. It's a video that, prior to starting my research for this, I had never actually seen before. So, without further ado, I present to you all the most viral Gran Turismo video, some random guy playing GT6 on a wheel. Oh, for fuck. Okay, I'm starting to realize why nobody's really talked about the most viewed Gran Turismo videos before, because this sucks. Or more precisely, YouTube sucks. This video somehow has 20 million views, and half of the comments are people just wondering why they've been recommended it. Now, it's all well and good laughing at YouTube's stupid-ass algorithm, but just remember, at least your guys' livelihoods aren't dependent on it. So it's fair to say that our search has been quite disappointing. I was hoping to find some really memorable and iconic Gran Turismo videos, but all I discovered was the visual equivalent of white noise. However, within this sea of nothingness, there is actually one small gem that I'd like to highlight. Discounting the GT7 announcement trailer from June 2020, this next video comes in second for number of views, with more than 11 million on YouTube. So, you guys ever heard of Initial D? That's a dumb question, because if you're watching this video, then you must be familiar with the story of tofu delivery driver turned street racer Takumi Fujiwara and his signature Toyota AE86 Terreno. This video, uploaded in June 2012 by Silvex180, recreates the most iconic scenes from the Initial D anime in Gran Turismo 5. It's a pretty simple idea, but one that's been executed to near perfection. Every part of this video, from the driving to the choice of music and of course the editing, is just sublime. If you somehow haven't watched it yet, follow the link I've left in the description. Trust me, it's 4 minutes and 15 seconds of your life that you won't regret. But to tell you the truth, when I first discovered this video, I hadn't yet watched or read Initial D, but even back then, I could tell this was special. There's actually a lot more to this video than meets the eye, so today, I'm going to give you guys a breakdown of my favourite Gran Turismo viral video. Let's start with the basics. What makes this video so good? Well, one reason is that it's just plain cool. The mix of impressive driving with an iconic Eurobeat soundtrack is a match made in heaven. This is one of the things that made Initial D itself so great, and the creators of this video capture that perfectly. The second point is authenticity to the source material. Fortunately, Gran Turismo 5 features every major car from Initial D, even if a few are low-res standard models, including the hero car itself. But it's still better than nothing. Unfortunately, the same can't be said for the locations. The racing in Initial D takes place on Japanese mountain roads called togeis, but sadly GT5 doesn't have any. This is where the creators have had to get inventive by using the Nürburgring Nordschleife as a stand-in. It's clearly not perfect, but I think it's close enough to the point where it isn't distracting. The video does also feature cameos from Eiger Nordwand, Nürburgring GP, Circuit de la Sarthe, Grand Valley, Deep Forest, and Spa-Francorchamps. Something that you might not have considered before is how, despite the racing in Initial D taking place at night, in this video it's mostly set at dusk. If you go into GT5 and load up the Nürburgring at night, you'll quickly realise why they made this decision. It wouldn't exactly make for a great video. Regardless, I still think they made the best of what they have, and when it comes to how they acted out the different driving techniques and key moments, they knocked it out of the park. But for me, it's the third point that ties everything together: the editing. As a video creator myself, I can tell you firsthand just how important editing is to the overall process. It's not just about the selection of clips, but how they're arranged, and then what you can add to them. Once again, this is another aspect that is done so well in the video. How the clips lead perfectly into each other, including character dialogue, and the way it all syncs up with the music. But undoubtedly the standout feature is the after effects. From subtle things like the filter applied to the headlights in some scenes, to the Initial D title card transition, it's all just so incredibly well done. But easily my favourite part of the video has to be how they used both visual and sound effects to create one of the best representations of anti-lag ever. That will always be the coolest thing I've ever seen, and I'm clearly not alone in thinking that. I hope that I've now been able to show why this video became so popular and well loved. Just reading the comments, it becomes clear the effect it had on people. It made some who had never seen Initial D, like myself, get interested in the series, and others who had never played Gran Turismo want to pick up these games. It really was that good. And 12 years later, this video is still incredible. When you think about it, it's not actually that surprising that a video recreating Initial D and Gran Turismo got so popular. These two series have a lot more in common than you might think. As we know, Gran Turismo was created by Kazunori Yamauchi as a realization of his ideal driving game. It was a massive risk for him to undertake, because although driving games were an established genre, nobody had tried to make one like he envisioned on such a large scale before. At the same time, the creator of Initial D, Shuichi Shigeno, was coming up with the idea for a manga focused on street racing. Once again, although there had been manga focused on cars and racing, nothing had really been done like it. It was a gamble for him to create Initial D since there were no guarantees that it would even have an audience, but he still persevered. And when it was then adapted into an anime, it helped to pioneer 3D animation with its driving scenes. They are very crude looking by modern standards, but much like Gran Turismo, they did represent a technical milestone in the medium. In both cases, these were people going out on a limb by creating something based on their own interest in cars and racing, managing to achieve massive success through them, and bringing them into the mainstream consciousness. They even came out at similar times, Initial D as a manga in 1995, with the anime adaptation coming 3 years later, and Gran Turismo in 1997. In this sense, it was clear that there would be an overlap in the prospective audiences for each. The original Gran Turismo features almost every single car that appeared in Initial D up to that point. However, the two series would cross over in a much more direct way just a few years later. Shigeno was inspired to create Initial D partly because he owned an AE86 himself, which he later modified to bring it closer to the spec of the car we see in the show. But in Gran Turismo 3, Shigeno's very own car would appear as one of the 180 models in the game. It was also a rare car in the sense that it could not be bought but only won from an event, that being the FR Challenge in the Amateur League. The car only has just over 200 horsepower, but weighs barely 825 kilos, so it's able to hold its own against much more powerful opponents. And if you get it on a downhill toge, I'm sure it'll leave them in the dust. With the right driver, of course. The car would reappear in the next 3 mainline games, including GT5 as we can see from Silvex's video. Unfortunately, it would be left as a standard model in the PS3 games. But much like the regular AE86 Trueno, it would get enough visual improvements for it to eventually be considered a semi-premium, wherein its body looks close to a full premium model, but it still lacks an interior. Although the car wouldn't return in GT Sports, it would make a surprise reappearance with GT7 in 2022. This marked the first time that we could see the car's interior, which has some minor differences to the regular version, such as the aftermarket Momo steering wheel. There's also the option to add Sibi fog lights to the front bumper, just like the one from the show. Then finish it off with a replica livery, and you pretty much have an identical copy of Takumi's car. Throughout all of its appearances in this series, this car has always been really quite good. Even now in GT7, it's still capable of some giant killing performances. In that sense, it really lives up to how it was portrayed in Initial D. So then, we've talked about the video itself, and covered the background of Initial D in Gran Turismo, but there's still something important that we need to do, and that is to discuss the people behind it. Now, that is far easier said than done, but I've gathered what information I can. Firstly, it's clear that this video was a project created by a group of people. In this case, a group by the name of Team DW Max. In the description of the video, there is a link to their website, but sadly it no longer works. However, from my limited research, I was still able to find some details. DW Max was a Japanese drifting team on GT5 run by Max Takuma 18. This makes the Max part of their name self-explanatory, however the DW part is actually in reference to his favourite car, the Aston Martin DB9. Silvex 180 was a member of the team who made videos covering their drifting events, including commentary. He soon earned attention for his impressive editing skills, which made the videos feel like proper broadcasted events, such as the real-life D1 GP series. But as well as drifting, the team also had an interest in oval racing and held various NASCAR lobbies. I know, it's a weird combination, but this is how Silvex would end up turning one of these races, a 30-lap event at Daytona, into a fully edited 2-part video. Once again, his unique creative flair was on full display. And soon after this, the team would take on their biggest challenge yet with the Initial D video. Although the link between Initial D and Gran Turismo was clear to see, nobody had tried to make a video on this scale before. But fortunately, Team DW Max and Silvex were up to the challenge, and they ended up creating a video that has gone down in Gran Turismo history. It transcended the following they had already established in Japan and even found international attention. But what can't be ignored is that beyond this, the trail runs cold. After this video, Silvex never uploaded to YouTube again. So, what happened? Well, the sad truth is that not long after this video was published, Team DW Max disbanded. The reason why is a bit complicated, and I don't feel confident to talk about it without understanding the full story. Google Auto-Translate can only do so much. Regardless, this is why Silvex's channel went quiet after June 2012. However, as well as YouTube, they do also have an account on the Japanese site Nico Video. Over here, the Initial D video has another 2 million views, and there are even a couple of videos that they never uploaded to YouTube. However, since 2015, they haven't uploaded anything here either. And while Silvex does also have Twitter, they haven't used that since 2016. And that's pretty much where our story ends, at least for now. I think it's fair to say that the legacy of this video has overshadowed those of the people who made it. As a team, DW Max was extremely short-lived, so it's honestly kind of a miracle that they were able to create such an iconic video in that time. It really speaks to the ability of their individual members, but especially Sylvex180. Now, there had been videos recreating Initial D on Gran Turismo prior to this one, but much like these two series themselves, nobody had done it quite like this before. And there's a case to be made that even now, more than 12 years later, they still haven't. Since then, many more people have tried the same thing in the latest Gran Turismos. When you watch these videos, it becomes clear how they've been influenced by Sylvexes. In fact, earlier this year, somebody actually remade the video scene by scene in GT7, but somehow, even with the many advancements since then, it still doesn't top the OG. Now that's no slight against this new version, because it's still really good, but more of an observation on just how timeless the original video is. In fact, if there is one thing that lets it down in any way, you'd have to say that it's the game itself. That was a full breakdown of the most viral, second most viral Gran Turismo video ever. Well, at least until this one comes out, when it'll then be the third most viral. Surely we can get 12 million views on this, right guys? But anyway, as always, thanks for watching and have a good one.